And good morning. Welcome to a special Out and About show on 1590 KVGB 97.7 FM. Steve Webster, your host. It's our monthly visit about Stafford County. Focus on Stafford County today here on the program. Joining us in studio is Carolyn Dunn, Stafford County Economic Development Director, and Ashley Bevan. Ashley is Program Director for Stafford County Eco Devo. Well, you made it up here, right?
Good morning.
Okay.
Yes.
And pretty good headwind coming up here today, so...
Definitely.
Yeah, we give you the weather update as well, as the wind is now blowing from the north, I assume, correct?
Northeast.
Northeast?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So winter's going to arrive here in the next few hours. All right, Carolyn, we talked to you, well, after last month's show, because I got this little email, and it was like a, hey... This big grant that everybody's been waiting pins and needles on, it came in, and a big development for the future of a grocery store in St. John. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we were the only one from Kansas that got this grant. I think there were 25 total nationwide, and we were the most rural. Most of them were from urban areas. There was a couple of other rural ones. Ashley looked it up, but we see, competition from Oakland, California, San Francisco, San Diego, Indianapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Omaha, Columbus, and St. John. So we felt good about holding our own.
How many grants or how many projects were approved total then?
25.
25
nationwide.
Wow.
And so we got the maximum amount awarded, too. That was the other thing that I felt, golly, we did. We held our own here.
Yeah, and then some people say, boy, that was like that was like a half-court shot they were trying to make, yet you felt pretty good about this.
Well, yes, because we had done a lot of the kind of preparation we needed to have done to be competitive for it. So on one hand, yes, the competition's stiff, and you never know. But on the other hand, we had a lot of the right elements in place. We had an actual site to build upon. We had control of that site and own it. We had very much the involvement of a good banker from, our local community that was supportive of the project, so could put forward those commitments that we needed to show that we could finance the project in addition to the grant funding. We, no small insignificant thing, we have the right kind of operator that has a good track record and has a history of creating jobs. And this program is really more about creating employment than it is about grocery stores per se. Again, we have an employer that has some credibility in that area and is willing to work with us on the kind of system we need to have to give employment to the target population that this grant program is for, which is it's to create employment opportunities for low-income persons. And then I could also say that Stafford County fits the criteria of that type of grant well, because we have a 28% poverty rate, which is twice the state and the national average. Again, kind of makes us a fit for the kind of thing they're trying to accomplish there. So you never know until it comes through, but I think that we really did our homework and had the right kind of partners in place to make us competitive.
Okay, what was the total grant?
$780,800.
Okay, what happens or what has happened here in the last month? You said there's still a lot of things to do and pieces to put together right now. So I don't know if there's too much we can maybe possibly add since we talked to you after you got that grant. But, I know you're setting the stage for other things to happen now.
Right. Well, we had plans with broad estimates of what we thought the cost would be, but they weren't engineered plans with the specificity for true, exact, guaranteed maximum price bids. And so we're going through that process right now, having the engineering done that leads to that. That's an expense that was probably hard for a small nonprofit to commit to without knowing that the project was going forward. Now that we have the major funding in place, we have, hired those people to do their part. And hopefully we'll have, those hard and fast bids in line so that we can sign all the commitments both on the financial end and on the construction end by mid-December.
So mid-December, and once all those things come together, then, people will think, well, all this stuff is nice that they're doing in the background, but when are we going to see some dirt moved out there along the highway?
Well, and we have a building that needs to be torn down, really, no matter what. So maybe you'll see some activity here in the next month. Okay. But if things fall into place, as I hope they will, but, those are some ifs. But if they fall into place, as I hope they will, we'll be moving dirt in December. And, some of this also comes into the seasonality of the weather and hoping that we get the timing right for being able to, pour concrete with the cold weather and everything. But hopefully.
Now, I'm probably going to put you on the spot here because sometimes you worry about, well, I'm going to leave somebody out or thing. But, I mean, there's so many people that came together to make this happen. Right. I mean, I know I'm putting you on this.
You are putting me, because I don't want to forget anyone, but we've received, a lot of support from the city of St. John. If we didn't have the tax increment finance district and plan in place, we wouldn't be able to line up our ability to pay debt. Certainly all the people on our economic development board, we have a committee of volunteers that have worked through the kind of the conceptualization of this plan. Met with grocery operators, talked with, we gave tours of the old store. We dealt with doing feasibility work. The city of St. John helped pay for that. So that was another layer of, cooperation that they lent. We have, now I'm going to say a committee of volunteers, because if I start naming off names, I'm going to, forget someone, but there's been that. We've had support from the Sunflower Foundation, who gave grant funding that paid for some of our legal work to do the tax increment finance plan. We've got some support from Network Kansas.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Some private donors.
Well, there you go. Absolutely. SJN Bank of Kansas was a corporate sponsor. We also have some significant individual contributions. And even within this week, have had some pledges from individuals for significant, individual cash contributions. We are at a point that I'm fairly confident we will be able to move forward, but there are still those pieces to pull together, and individual contributions are still helpful to getting us to that finish line and ready to sign all of the documentation we need to.
Well, it's been a long journey. Still haven't got there yet, but it's neat to see what has happened so far. We're getting closer all the time. Ashley, what was the day like when we found out?
I honestly, in all honesty, I was not even in the office. I was up at our house in Hudson that is for sale right now. That's another piece we can talk about. But I was painting, doing some touch-up work in there and cleaning to prepare it for another hopeful owner. So I returned to the office, and I'm standing in Carolyn's doorway, and she's waving her arms in the air. We got it! So it was really exciting.
But that was still kind of a day of uncertainty because of the way they announced it. You had to get a login. I'm not kidding. You had to be approved for like an online database, and you had to get a new login and be able to log into the system before you could actually see, like, for sure that you were awarded and what the amount was. So it took me kind of the better part of a day to get approved for this new grantsolutions.gov system. And that was, well, it was kind of anticlimactic, because you kind of think all day long you're pretty sure, but you're not entirely sure. You don't want to tell anyone on your board, because what if you don't have the right information? And it wasn't just a simple email.
No.
What day was that on? That was on
like
a Monday, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Right, because
October 2nd.
Because it went into the weekend, you're going to find out, but then people, we didn't get it because they didn't get notification when they came out on Monday. That was really neat. Carolyn Dunn with us, Ashley Bevitt. I thought she said you're going to get a phone call up there, and it was Carolyn saying if you were still up there painting or not.
Well, prime example, because I didn't call her to say we definitely got it because I wasn't sure until like about 4 o'clock that afternoon.
Yep.
Well, congratulations, guys, and we'll be keeping you updated on the development of the new grocery store. And, of course, the pharmacy that's going to be starting up here very quickly as well, and in their new location in St. John.
They've got shelving up inside the building, and I think the last I heard was they're just waiting on the contract negotiations with the health insurance companies. So it's kind of a process.
Right.
You have to have a site before you can be licensed, and you have to be licensed before you can have your contracts finalized. So that's my understanding of where they are.
Okay, we'll keep you updated on all that stuff here on Focus on Stafford County on 1590 KVGB 97.7 FM, which next month when we do it, it'll be the 5th Thursday. Just throwing that out for you, unless you want to come in and do a special Thanksgiving show in November. Quick programming note. Okay, Ashley, you were talking about property in Hudson. 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and what do we got going on there?
This is a property that Economic Development purchased and renovated. We had an individual in there for about a year, and she has since moved out, so it is available again. We do have 3 options for an individual to look at. They can purchase it outright for $50,000. Those offers are given first priority by our board of directors. Their second option, an owner finance purchase, which ends up being about $400 a month for 15 years. And then their third option, they can just rent it for $450 a month. So it is available. If people would like tours, we are more than willing to drive up there and meet them to do that. All appliances are included, washer, dryer, all of your kitchen appliances were new last year. So it's ready to go.
Yeah, and this was pretty cool to see that this home that's there now from where it started. And I know a lot of people had different volunteers, including people on bikes that participated in fixing that property up. So
a fun day, an exciting project where we had the Bike and Build volunteers. They were young adults from all over the country that were on a cross-country bike ride and spent a day in Hudson, and that was kind of in our demolition phase there. But there's just a lot of, it's kind of like the grocery store. When you talk about a lot of people have contributed in some way, the Hudson House is another example of that. There's been more than just those volunteers involved in that.
Construction has started, I understand, on the first moderate income housing project in St. John.
It's fun to see. It's always fun to see like actual new construction. And we have one new house underway. I drove by this morning and it has the framing of the walls is up. So the basement's been poured and they're well on their way. It's moving right along.
A quick review of the program that's making this possible.
It is a $25,000 down payment, basically construction subsidy, to build a new house in any of the towns in Stafford County within city limits of St. John, Maxville, Stafford, Hudson, or Seward. And we have 3 more slots available.
Okay. Carolyn Dunn, Ashley Bevan in with us here on Focus on Stafford County today. You have, I guess, I was going to say your hands, but you're involved with a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. Ashley, tell me about the candidate forum that took place that Stafford County EcoDevo helped organize.
Yeah, we were approached to host a candidate forum Tuesday night in St. John. 5 of the 7 total candidates, one being the position for mayor, were able to attend. It was about a 2-hour event. We had, I'd say, probably about 40 people in the crowd maybe. But I feel like it was a good turnout, and Carolyn prepared some questions.
Yeah, and it was. We had some questions from the audience as well.
Had some people along on Facebook Live, right?
And that's what I was going to mention is that we still have the availability to watch it because Ashley
live streamed it on our Facebook page, so it's still posted there.
And I think we've had a lot of people watch it.
Over 400 views.
There's 700 registered voters in St. John, right? Something like that. So, hey.
No, that's a great way to do it. We had the candidate forum here in Great Bend. Not everyone could go. Not everyone could hear it on the radio that night. It's available on greatbendpost.com. And that's one of the neatest things about you can go back and access that at any time and find out about the people that you'll actually come on. Who's that?
Right.
Didn't know. Oh, they're running. Okay, well, know what they're going to do. So that is available for you right now. First time that we've had a candidate forum in that area. I mean,
we have. I think a few years ago I ended up moderating one on school board, but it's, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a routine, consistent thing that we do, but I think it's good when we can kind of organize that and make it.
And I think it fit in really nice with some of the work we were doing with kind of what we've called a design team in the community and work with WSU. We did some community surveys earlier this year and really asked people what their concerns were for the future of St. John. And a lot of responses were housing and can we improve our infrastructure? And so it was nice to see some of these candidates say that infrastructure development and bringing in new businesses and improving our housing. It was nice to hear those candidates say, yes, these are things that I want to work on if I'm elected.
Giving Tuesday, November 28th, and this is a partnership that there will be eligible funds specific to Stafford County that people can donate to.
This is something that's becoming, I think, because we've been doing it now for several years, something that people can understand and look forward to. It is the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And there is there's $25,000 worth of match funding available to match the contributions made on that day through Golden Belt Community Foundation. So we have several Stafford County specific funds that will receive matches if they have contributions on that day. So things like the Hudson Community Improvement Fund, the Stafford County Endowment, Stafford County 4-H, and Stafford Community Improvement Fund are all some of those that are specific to Stafford County. I would note that some of these funds proceeds were a part of what helped support the incubator, the business incubator in St. John. We received a $10,000 contribution from Golden Belt Community Foundation last year for the purchase of that building, which is now holding the pharmacy. It was proceeds from these kinds of funds that made that grant possible.
So Giving Tuesday, what do people need to do to contribute?
They can give in person at some of the locations on November 28th in St. John. Or in Stafford County, it's at the Courthouse Annex in St. John, 210 East 3rd. You can also give online at goldenbeltcf.org.
Giving Tuesday, November 28th, and of course there will be other opportunities for people in this area to donate money to worthy causes that they would like their money to go to. Who wants to talk about Stafford? We've got a partnership, Stafford Chamber of Commerce, City of Stafford, Stafford County Economic Development for painting improvements for a business.
This was something that the Stafford Chamber of Commerce approached economic development about collaborating with about 2 months ago. It's being funded jointly by the Stafford Chamber, City of Stafford, and Stafford EcoDevo. And we've all put money together to offer some incentives for improving either homes or businesses by just painting them, just making them look nicer. And this has been modeled after some other similar-sized towns around the state. We had some citizens within Stafford that had done some research on what was working in other, towns of our size, trying to come up with things that we can reasonably afford, reasonably take on and do. And this was one of those kind of low-hanging fruit. So we've tried it. We have 3 approved so far and slots, additional slots available. But I think it can be a simple way to just take some steps to improve the look of our town, get people kind of interested and maybe excited to take on some of their own improvement projects.
And you see a couple of these go up and people say, hey, that's a good idea. What kind of information do you need in an application to possibly get this funding?
Well, you can contact the city office, and it's a fairly simple one-page application, and they'll take pictures before and after, and I would just encourage them to call the city office or stop by if they're interested in that program.
Great program that they have there. Now, do you have to provide what color it's going to be, or
they do.
Somebody goes in and paints a house that like a zebra or something. I don't know if that looks as good, but
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know, but I do know that they are encouraging the paint to be purchased locally so that there's an additional economic impact from it.
Gotcha. Okay, Christy Tustin, Golden Belt Community Foundation, and you traveling for a Philanthropy Innovators Network meeting next week.
Right. So that's just, I don't know, one of the things that's right now happening within our office. We're preparing for that next conference. It's been several months ago, but Christy did come in and talk with us 1 month about what this is about. And it's basically just learning how to better use philanthropy to stimulate economic development. And we're getting some great ideas. We're learning kind of where to go to find, legal advice on how to navigate that world, developing some specific ideas of our own to try to do here. We're in a mix of, again, we're probably at this, even though it's a rural network, we're kind of at the small end of the towns that are involved from all over the U.S., but we can learn a lot from some of the others that have probably been doing it longer than we have, and that's kind of interesting, stimulating.
Well, when we guys started this program a long time ago, it seems like, trying to get people updated on what's going on in Stafford County. We've gone a long ways, a lot of different projects that you guys have been involved with, and people want to find out more about any of these programs. Ashley does a great job on the website, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, so you can find out more there. This kind of some quick thoughts next month, we're getting toward the end of the year, but this has been quite a year for Stafford County Eco Devo, hasn't it, Carolyn?
We've made some progress this year. Yes, it's been a good year. This kind of encapsulates, I think, a lot of the attitude I want to promote through the kind of economic development work we do. I was reading a blog recently that talks about both small business and rural development. And her quote from that was, she said, "I know small towns have a future. Whether anyone else remembers it or not, rural people are necessary to the wider world of food, natural resources, and conservation. So no matter what, some small towns will survive. Will your town be one of them? That's at least partly up to you. You don't have to wait for fate to take its course. You don't have to wait for someone from outside to come in and save you. You can shape the future of your town." So that one's one that I've printed off and put on the wall. I like that.
I think that a lot of small communities can take a lot from that, and whether you're being pulled along or sometimes you're pulled along and then you jump up and then you're pulling someone else. But great job. Congratulations. We'll talk to you next month. Programming note, it will be the 5th Thursday. So I don't know what that is because the calendar's not up and I can't see that far with my glasses on right now. But 5th Thursday next month for Focus on Stafford County here on 1590 KVGB and 97.7 FM. Thanks for joining us on the program today. News coming up next. We'll have Sports Day at 12:25. Dave Ramsey at 1:05 today. Have a wonderful afternoon. We'll talk to you next week.